policies. And policies are basically a very clear statement on what the community's vision is on particular activities and whether a community is for or against certain types of activities at certain locations. So it begins to take, you know, the research and the vision, and it starts to narrow it and give it focus to specific areas and locations. What typically a community does then from their land use plan with these policies is they develop an ordinance, and the ordinance is very specific about defining where an approved activity can occur and what requirements are applicable. So the process here becomes very specific, very rigid, very engineered. It includes many types of standards, very specific thoughts about road grade, about thickness of road, about quantity of water supply, about the pressure of water supply, and those kinds of things. Ultimately, what happens is then the ordinance is regulations that reflect the community's vision in a very clear manner, and the community will choose to enforce those. What a community can do to help complete and implement those ordinances in a very effective manner is create a covenant which indicates basically what the ordinance says, but you get the landowner to sign and you record that with your county clerk's office, and you very methodically go through what's required, what they need to be doing, and it's a checklist of things that you actually give them, they've signed, and it takes that support document that's been included as a part of the community's vision and the policies, which now have become an ordinance, and it puts that responsibility in the hands of the landowner and gives them real clear guidance on how to accomplish that. With that being said, I'm going to go to part 3, which is a tour of the NACO Wildfire Clearinghouse, and kind of show you what some of those kinds of documents are out there, the ordinance and the covenant. So if you're not already on this page right here, what you can do is you can type in NACO Wildfire in Google. You can click on NACO Wildfire Clearinghouse, and it gets you to this page right here. The next step is to click on this link right here at the bottom of the page where this arrow is, Wildfire Clearinghouse. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you to this page. When you get to this page, just click search. There's no need to put a check mark in any of those boxes. And you'll end up in you'll have the whole list of resources available there, and you can scroll down through them. What I've done is I've started at the top, and eventually you're going to get to a section where it's titled Ordinances right here, and you'll click on this link, Douglas County Land Use and Development Ordinance. So this is an actual look at our ordinance where we've taken wildfire planning and we've embedded it in our ordinances here in Douglas County. For instance, in our timberland resource zone, which is typically, it's just a forest zone, what you have growing there are trees, and it's a resource the community feels very strongly about. Timber production is a big part of Douglas County's economy, and so what you'll find is the 3 million acres in Douglas County provide 1 in 4 jobs. In that timber zone, you'll find, of course, number 1, forest operations and activities relating to forest uses. And as you scroll down through the list of uses that are available in this particular zone, you'll get to a point where, if you just keep clicking, if you keep moving down in that particular site, you'll get to page 15, where you'll start seeing siting standards for dwellings and structures. You'll begin to see information about how it's important to be thinking about wildfire, and then eventually things that need to be done. Maintaining adequate water, road access, things that are needing to be done around a structure are all written right into the code. There's additional numbers right there. Using fire-resistant building materials, annexing to the Rural Fire Protection District if you're not already in it, joining the team out there. And then what we'll do as a part of our process is we'll have a landowner, when they're seeking approval for structural development in Douglas County, go through this form with us. We fill it out, we put their name on it, what it pertains to, exactly which structure. Here again, the requirements that were found in ordinance are listed throughout this document, and what you'll find is at the end, of course, there's a place to sign, and we record this particular document at the county clerk's office. So to put a wrap-up on this, Douglas County finds wildfire planning to be very important kind of for two reasons. One, of course, is safety and welfare of citizens in the community, but Douglas County, being a timber community where timber provides jobs, finds that wildfire planning also protects our economy, our timber jobs, and then also protects the resource here, the tourism resource where folks come to visit Douglas County. There's my contact information, and with that, I think I'm done.
Bill, you done?
I am.
Great, thank you so much. And that will lead us to our fourth polling question. If your county or community has experienced a severe wildfire, did it lead to a new ordinance, comprehensive plan revision, or any kind of new policy? Again, it's a single answer question. Yes, no, I don't know. My community hasn't experienced a severe wildfire. Okay, is the still calculating here. Looks like about half of you said no at this point. But again, remember that as Phil went through the resources on the NACO Clearinghouse, that information will be available to everyone who is participating in this workshop and this webinar today, as well as all NACO members and other individuals who want to find more information on particular tools and resources that are available to address wildfire and wildfire risk. All right, so again, thank you, Phil, for that very good presentation, very educational. Now we are getting to the part of the session, the question and answers part of the webinar. And again, if you wanted to ask a question over the internet, you may do so by just typing into the chat room. And let's see if we've gotten any kind of questions so far. Also, if you do submit a question, either through the phone or through the internet, please state your name and where you're from, and also indicate if it's a specific question to a panelist. Please indicate that. Okay. Don't see any questions so far. I guess, Phil, we'll now start off the questions here. You had indicated quite extensive a number of plans, CWPPs. Is that applicable to other counties within the state of Oregon? Are they doing that kind of approach?
When I talked about wildfire planning, I was specifically kind of referring to my experience with the Douglas County Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which in Douglas County, because of our history, we have a number of small communities throughout 5,000 square miles that we are. There's 26 what we call rural communities. These are small communities where you might find a store and a number of homes. And what we found was very important. They were an important part of the timber industry history. They were where people lived that worked in the forest. And so what we found was going out to these areas and providing small area plans around these communities was really important to our community.
Okay, sounds good. All right, due to my technical ineptitude, apparently I didn't click on the right box. There were some couple of questions that were submitted. The first one is from Effie Elzy. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Is this a W sectional law or for all states to do? I guess that was asked at 2:27, so I think that's directed to you, Ann.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is this a W sectional law or for all states to do?
I'm not certain that I understand the question, but I think, you know, the 10-year task spoke to involving states, counties, municipalities in developing wildfire codes. And I know that with my experience with the Oregon Department of Forestry, that non-regulatory type of approach really worked. And landowners take and feel the initiative, to move forward and do something to make a difference at that level as well. So, one of the things with the community wildfire protection plans, kind of bumping it back to some planning tactics here, the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, there is not a requirement that you do a community wildfire protection plan in that legislation. However, funding streams such as with the Forest Service and DOI agencies, prioritize their allocations based on your community wildfire protection plan. So whether it may not be required by law, it is certainly recommended to be successful in securing some funding to do the projects that are identified in the community wildfire protection plan and to help the homeowners that are trying to do defensible space. And a lot of the state forestry agencies across the U.S. work very closely with the landowners to help meet those goals. Okay. I hope that helped. I hope that answered it.
She had a follow-up question. Who would you work with in doing a plan? Let's see, USDA, planners, fire or COS, I don't know what that means.
Well, it's certainly, again, the decision makers, like in the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, those would be the first to start with. Your local fire department, talk to emergency response folks that are like Phil's group with the county planning, the state forestry agencies, like I was mentioning that the National Association of State Foresters, state forester contact information is in your database in the NACO clearinghouse. Mm-hmm. It's also available on the web. I can't, it's under National Association of State Foresters. So I think that would be my recommendations of where to start to put one together. And they're always welcome to give me a call, too.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question here, what is the, from George Boggs, what is the legal significance of the recorded covenant? You have the ordinance that can be enforced. Would you speak more on this? I guess that's directed to you, Phil.
Typically, I believe what the function of the covenant is, we talk to many people about many types of regulations and we show them information, but when you give it to them, you get their signature on it in writing. At a later date, if there's a question about what was required, there's no question about responsibility or not knowing about it, those kinds of things. To me, it's more of a clarification, a connection, kind of an educational document where the landowner becomes very well versed on what they're required to be doing. It's just that extra bit of communication about a very important subject, that we use.
Okay. Actually, I know George Boggs looks like he's had his hand raised for about 7 minutes. See if I do this right. George, are you on? We may have lost him. Okay. We have another question here from Dwight Berry. Can I repeat the website address? I will do that. I have a couple of slides I'm going to conclude, but I can also give it to you now, I guess. The website address is www.naco.org/wildfire. And if you have any problems getting into the website, please let me know. Let's see. There's a question here from Alan Gallimore. Are any of you familiar with counties nationwide that have experienced significant interface fires that have done post-fire studies to determine if defensible space was effective in protecting homes, i.e. communities with ordinances in place?
James, this is Ann. I can address this briefly. The Angora fire in California, they did extensive research and studies after that interface fire, and I think